Hey there, all you gorgeous Broadway geeks. Welcome to Broadway by Ghostlight. I'm Mark Bonanni, and in this next entry in our Broadway Breakdown series, we're going to explore one of my favorite flops from the late 80s, Starmites, a toe-tapping pop musical which delves headfirst into the world of comic books and sci-fi comedy.
A winning combination!
Shows based on comic strips tend to do pretty well on Broadway with shows like Annie and Lil Abner, but ones based on comic books, not so much. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman, and of course the infamous Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. I'm a $65 million circus tragedy. Actually more like 75. Are all proof enough of that. But what about a comic book show not based on an existing comic book? Would Starmites fare any better?
It does not.
Starmites was the first show to open at Broadway's then newest theater, the Criterion Center Stage Right. What a beautiful name for a Broadway theater. The theater doesn't exist anymore. It was torn down and replaced by the famous Times Square Toys R Us, though now it's a Gap. Starmites opened on Broadway on April 27th, 1989, but its journey to the Great Bright Way began several years before that. Starmites was the brainchild of Barry Keating. An actor and writer, Keating had never written a note of music before. He was originally going to work with famed rock writer Jim Steinman, who's had his own complicated relationship with Broadway, with shows like Dance of the Vampire and others.
Call Ticketmaster for the one new musical that really bites. Dance of the Vampires. Thanks separately.
When Steinman pulled out, Keating decided to take a crack at writing the music himself, and Broadway bangers ensued. You'll see. So Keating wrote the book, music, and lyrics for this lighthearted space epic, as well as directing its first production off-Broadway at the Arc Theater Company in 1980. After encouraging reviews, the show tried at that point to get to Broadway, but obviously it wasn't meant to be quite yet. The show would return to New York 7 years later as part of the Musical Theater Works series at the CSC Theater off-Broadway. For this revised run, a new director was brought on, as well as co-book writer Stuart Ross, and a whole new cast, including Liz Larson, Gabriel Barr, and Sharon McKnight, who would eventually lead the Broadway production. But there was one more stop on the path to Broadway. Starmites played the American Stage Festival in Milford, New Jersey in summer of 1988. This time directed by Larry Carpenter, who would direct the Broadway run, with Larson and McKnight starring again. Funnily enough, at that point, the creatives felt the show would be a better fit in a small off-Broadway venue.
Okay, so what about off-Broadway?
Sort of trying to go the route of the original Little Shop of Horrors. But when the new Broadway theater was offered, and in such a weak season to boot, the producers leapt at the chance.
It's good.
Yeah?
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
After the show opened and closed on Broadway, it continued its journey through the atmosphere, becoming a cult favorite, and has been produced in amateur and high school productions across the country. Starmites came full circle when it arrived back off-Broadway in 2001 in a heavily revised version. As I mentioned earlier, I have a huge soft spot for Starmites. My sophomore year of high school, we did the show. That's the poster for our production from high school, and boy oh boy have I got some fun pictures to show you. I'll show you those crazy pictures and talk a bit about why the show failed on Broadway in a bit, but first let's take a journey to the outer reaches of Innerspace and break down the plot of this campy cosmic cult classic musical comedy. Humana humana hey!
Oh my god, curtain up!
The lights come up on the cluttered bedroom of awkward teenager Eleanor Fairchild. Eleanor is a massive comic book nerd.
We've got comic books, more comic books, and more comic books.
When we first see her, she's reading one of her all-time favorites. She reads aloud. Starmites, Volume 17, Issue 1295, The Legend of Milady. It was the dawning of the Obsidian Eclipse. Earth, as we know it, teetered on the brink of discord. Innerspace, Earth's parallel dimension, was racked with evil, tormented by the bilious arch-creep of chaos, Chakra. As she's reading this, the villainous Chakra appears seemingly from her imagination. She continues with the conveniently exposition-filled comic book. Only the guardians of inner space could save the world from destruction, and so the Starmites set out on their mission of salvation and hope.
I think that had marvelous production value.
And the gaggle of intergalactic lost boys known as the Starmites appear. The teenage space gang is made up of Dazzle Razzledorf, the bumbling show-off, Herbie Harrison, the rule-abiding organized one, Ackerman, the tough guy member who's second in command to the leader, and final member of the gang known as Space Punk. Space Punk is, and I quote, the heartthrob of the universe.
Hunk City.
We learn that the Starmites are on a quest to find Milady, the true queen of Innerspace, before the evil Shock-Ra can get to her. For it is prophesied, Eleanor continues, that only Milady can defeat Shock-Ra and save the world from drought, pestilence, famine, and tabloid TV. Shock-Ra appears and him and the mites face off, but Dazzle lets it slip that Milady is safe on Earth. Before things come to a head, there is a knock at Eleanor's bedroom door. She begins to close the comic book and the show gets super meta and the mites scream, "Wait, no, don't close that, ah," as she closes the comic book. And Shock-Ra and the mites disappear. Eleanor's mother enters and they immediately start bickering. The mother fusses with her daughter's hair and laments that she just wants her daughter to be a normal, lovely young woman.
Please, just be normal sauce for one day.
But Eleanor just wants to read her comic books. She tells her mother she just doesn't fit in with the other kids, but her mother tells her she's growing up and it's time to accept reality. She then tells her daughter that she's called the Comic Emporium and they've offered a great price for Eleanor's entire comic collection.
That will not go over well.
Eleanor is, of course, horrified and begs her mother to let her keep them. As they argue, Shock-Ra's voice calls out for Milady. Suddenly, Eleanor goes into a trance and speaks in an odd voice, saying, "I will never do your bidding, O slumlord of the universe," which, of course, her mother thinks is directed towards her.
What?
Her mother instructs her to bring the comics into the car, and Eleanor sadly agrees. As she packs them up, she sings about her desire to be a superhero girl.
I wish I were a superhero girl. Like in the comics, like in the movies. Oh, someday I'll be a superhero girl.
As she sings, Shock-Ra and his minion droids bring their world into ours and invade Eleanor's bedroom. She screams and blackout. In the next scene, we are now in Innerspace at Shock-Ra's sacrificial slab, where the evil droids are placing Eleanor, well,
On the slab.
as they tie her to the slab, Eleanor is trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Shock-Ra says, "Isn't this what you wanted? You have become your own fantasy. Now you will become mine." Which definitely sounds like he's got other plans for this young teenager other than killing her, but let's not get into that. Space Punk literally swings in to defend her, but Shock-Ra chokes Space Punk with a Darth Vader mind choke deal, and Eleanor goes into her strange trance again and says, "By the fire of Milady, set him free," and blasts Shock-Ra and his droids away. Eleanor is still confused about what in the world is happening to her.
What is happening to me?
And Space Punk explains that the goddess of inner space, Oragala, prophesies that one day a beautiful earthling maiden would restore order and harmony throughout their world. She, of course, thinks she must be dreaming. The Starmites aren't real, they only exist in comic books, right?
I mean, right?
But Space Punk explains that it's just another time and another dimension.
That doesn't explain anything!
Space Punk, who speaks with a lot of these and thous, reveres and worships Eleanor/Milady. When he tries to alleviate her fears with a kiss, she goes all Milady on him and blasts him, leaving him frozen in place. Just then, the rest of the mites enter to fight this being who's freeze-dried their leader. Before they attempt to attack, methodical Herbie has them consult the Starmite handbook for what to do when the captain becomes ossified, which clearly states that the mites should assemble martial arts routine number 9.
That's what it says.
Then they do the Starmite salute, which is humana hey. Though, in my mind, I always think of this. The mites attack, but get the Milady blast themselves, knocking them all over, waking the stunned space punk in the process. This whole scene where the mites attack her reminds me a lot of Peter Pan, when the Lost Boys attack the Wendy bird, and just like in that story, our Peter Panish punk berates his men and reveals that this is the one and only Milady. Eleanor, still in disbelief, just wants to go home. The mites, though, need her to save the world. When one of the mites tells her she has to join them, she says, "I don't have to do anything. Who do you think you are?" And they respond with the title song, Starmites.
We are the good guys, so nice and polite. But bad guys beware us if you look in the fight. Cause we don't take no lip and we don't take no sass. We're as tough as ocean leather and as bold as brass. We're the Starmites, the mighty Starmites. We fight for the right and unite to be free. We're the Starmites, the mighty Starmites. The punks are the future are we. As a token of their undying trust in her, Space Punk bestows upon her the Starmite danger whistle. Help. And proclaims her Milady Crusader First Class in the Order of the Starmites. Suddenly, strange music is heard and a high falsetto voice asking for help. This strange voice says, "Rescue, rescue, hey nonny no." A trapdoor is lifted and we meet the reptilian Trinculus, a former slave of Chakra who's a lizard but kind of speaks like a Shakespearean parrot.
Choices.
The mites vote to desiccate the sludge ball, but Milady, and therefore Space Punk, take pity and promise to keep the creature safe. When Trinculus learns that this is the Milady, he tells her she's in grave danger and sings of something called the cruelty.
But I know only too well the cruelty.
Milady notes, "The Cruelty, Starmites Special Issue 54, a musical weapon of soul-corrupting power." Side note, she does this a lot throughout the script with the comic books as a sort of mini exposition device.
It's plot exposition. It has to go somewhere.
And the Starmites are all well aware of the comic books and issue numbers, which is weird, but I guess we're not supposed to look too much into that.
Look over there!
Anyways, we learn more of this prophecy from Origala. It basically states that Milady and the Starmites must quest to find the cruelty before Chakra finds it. If the Starmites and Milady find it first, peace in the universe. If not, chaos will reign. The gang learns from Trinculus that the cruelty is located in the dreaded Shriekwood Forest. Starmites, Volume 11, Issue 894, The Forest of Vocal Terror. The mites all strongly protest. Shriekwood is where the Banshees, their sworn enemies, live. Banshees, they say, are weird women with dangerous hairdos who rip supple teenage flesh with their jungle red talons. But Space Punk tries to rally his troops with the song Afraid of the Dark.
The enemy's out there and it's chaos and fear. You wanna cry like a baby when the darkness comes near. You may think that they've got us where it hurts, but you're so wrong. We can give them their just dessert. So start by singing this song. Start by singing this song. I ain't afraid of the dark. Don't be afraid. I ain't afraid of the dark. Don't be afraid. I ain't afraid of the dark. We're gonna see the light.
Say what you will about this show, a lot of these songs absolutely slap.
That's what the kids say, right?
Now in Shriekwood Forest, where the gang is timidly making their way through the vines and overgrowth with Trinculus leading the way like a bloodhound. The forest is super eerie with banshee whispers heard throughout. Everyone is quiet when suddenly Trinculus screams! "Ah!" Something touched him, he says, and he bolts. Space Punk decides to go after him and tells Milady that she's in charge while he's away and hands her his jacket. This does not sit well with the other mites. I mean, to be fair, look at it. That's a pretty nice jacket. But they're pissed and they all object. Herbie says it's against the rule book, Ak says it's humiliating, but Space Punk will have none of it and goes to pursue the screeching lizard man Trinculus. The mites take fighting stances and completely ignore Milady. She tries to break the ice by saying, "So, this is Shriekwood," and several hidden banshees echo the last word back, "Shriekwood, wood, wood, wood." This understandably freaks them all out. Herbie tries to be methodical and consults the handbook, which states, "When terrorized by oppressive foliage, assume the posture of real heroes."
You know, that's actually some pretty good advice.
Milady notes that this is just like Mephisto meets the X-Men issue 33, which isn't a real comic book issue, by the way, where a band of brazen teens are pursued by the headless samurai. In the comic, Eleanor says, to save themselves, they practice the calming art of meditation. What happened to them, asked the mites? Well, they were decapitated, but the important thing is they needed rest.
That took a turn.
The mites, of course, think she's crazy. Rest in the middle of the banshee-infested spooky forest? So Eleanor uses her Milady powers and calms the men. As they begin to fall asleep, she sings Little Hero.
Shadows fall and voices call, but you're not easy to scare. Sleep you'll find a world designed to do anything we dare. Close your eyes and maybe then you'll crush the enemy and find a friend and have adventures that will never end. Pretend and close your eyes.
Eleanor falls asleep as well, and as she does, the forest closes in on the group, and we hear Shakra's voice, for some reason, introducing the next number. He says, "Starmites, Volume 17, Issue 1296, The Attack of the Banshees."
Strange boys, crude and intruding boys, rude little human boys, traipsing through our forest. Sacrilege! 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 We'll attack, we'll attack, we'll attack, we'll attack. Death to the humans, death to the heathen, the humans must die. Death to the heathen, the humans must die.
So yes, we meet the Banshees, who are named Maligna, Shotzi, Cannibal, and Balbraca. And they hate these kids. They take the gang off stage, and the scene changes to the Great Hall of the Castle Nemesis, where the leader of the Banshees reigns. In the empty hall, Trinculus and Space Punk sneak in. In the hall is a giant bird-like statue, and suspended above that is the Cruelty, a guitar-like instrument that wields the power to destroy or save the universe.
It's a big deal.
Trinculus reaches out to snag it to take it back to Milady, but as he touches it, he's blasted by a bolt of energy. This has alerted the Banshees to their presence, and the duo quickly leave as the Banshees enter with Eleanor and the rest of the Starmites. Once there, the Banshees sing a hymn to their leader named Diva. The giant wings of the bird statue open to reveal Diva in all her glory. She sings the epic Hard to Be Diva. Here is a clip from their Tony Award performance in 1989 performing Hard to Be Diva. After the number, the Banshees all want to devour the young men. Also, Banshees say that they don't know who the Starmites are, even though earlier the Starmites called them their sworn enemies. Anyway.
You're such a stickler.
When Diva learns that Eleanor is from Earth, they bring up the Origala prophecy once again, though every time it's brought up, it's slightly different. But the Banshees version states that an Earth girl will defeat Shakra, which Diva likes, and the Earth girl will become the true Queen of Innerspace, which Diva doesn't like. Diva suspects that Eleanor is there to usurp her throne, but knows that the Cruelty is the only weapon that can defeat Milady. She instructs her banshees to prepare Eleanor for diva section, and they whisk her off. The mites go into attack mode to save her, but diva utters the spell Frabala, and all the mites freeze in place like statues. Frabala, it sounds like something out of the Grimmery, right? Suddenly, the lights all go floopy, and we hear the menacing voice of Chakra telling Diva to be gentle with his humans. Diva says one of my favorite lines, "Great shuddering high belay," which is a phrase I cannot wait to throw into casual conversations. Diva activates the cruelty, and with a maniacal laugh, Chakra disappears. The Banshees enter alarmed, and they reveal more of this prophecy. It says, "When Banshee bride weds human groom, then shall Chakra meet his doom." Diva realizes that she must combine forces with these humans. And we learn that the Starmites are the last humans in Innerspace. Diva says that since all the Banshees are too advanced in their cycles for, she will offer up her only child, her daughter Bizarbra, to wed one of the humans. Bizarbra is, for all intents and purposes, a dweeb.
Dork, dweeb, nerdlet, a real Poindexter, lame-o, Dorcas to the max.
Adenoidal, bespectacled, awkward, shy, the whole Megillah. We should also talk a bit about the casting for Starmites briefly at this moment. As intended by the author, the actor who plays Eleanor's mother also plays Diva, and the actor who plays Eleanor/Milady also plays Bizarbra. There's one more example of dual roles, but more on that later. Bizarbra enters and Diva fusses with her hair just like Eleanor and her mother. Bizarbra says, "This is just like Amazing Earth Tales Volume 1, Issue 153. I love that little joke. Diva informs her daughter that Chakra has invaded their castle, and now she must choose one of the Starmites to marry.
Choose?
Bizarbra thinks none of them will like her, but Diva says nonsense, they'll adore her. Bizarbra objects as the Banshees take her off to be prepared when Chakra's voice booms in the castle again. We get an exchange that leads to another truly bizarre but personal favorite lines. Chakra says, "I know your plan now, Diva." And Diva says, "It's too late. My daughter will wed one of the humans, and you'll rue the day you were born." To which Chakra replies, "Well, wicky wacky woo." It's just so weird. I'm obsessed. Diva blasts Chakra out of the castle, though it's only his voice, so I don't know what she's blasting, but he leaves and she sings a quick reprise of Hard to Be Diva.
Don't get over eager, 'cause when all is said and done, in the limelight with the diva, there can only be one. It's hard to be the diva, but take a tip from me, it may be hard to be the diva, but it's so much harder not to be.
The next scene is in another part of Castle Nemesis. An unconscious Eleanor lays on a stone slab, totally unguarded for some reason.
She'll be fine.
Space Punk enters and spouts more Shakespearean mumbo-jumbo. He says things like, "Oh, heartless harpies, to treat a damsel so." To awaken her, he lightly kisses her, which does wake her up, but alarms her more than anything. She reveals that she's never been kissed before. She said she was saving her first kiss. Space Punk says he feels the same and he too hadn't had a first kiss before.
Sure, Jan.
Eleanor doesn't buy it though. He says, "Dash my heart out if there be any mirth to my discourse." Eleanor begs him, if he's telling the truth, to just speak what's in his heart, simply. And they sing the aptly titled love duet.
Now you are mine. Now we are one, and the dream is true, and we'll never, never be afraid.
After the number, Trinculus comes in to warn Space Punk that the mites are in danger with the Banshees. Space Punk dashes off with Trink to help the mites, leaving Eleanor there, which is a questionable move for our hero in my book. But back in the Great Hall, the Starmites still stand frozen from their Frabala spell. Diva unfreezes them by saying Alabarf, which is Frabala backwards.
Wordplay.
She tells them one of them is to marry her daughter, which they all quickly come up with excuses why it can't be them. But Diva says the ritual will decide. For her partner in dance will be her partner in, Sex. and Bizarra and the Banshees perform the Conuptial Dance of Spousal Arousal. What a title. One by one, the mites are knocked down by the awkward Bizarra. Diva orders them to be punished, but the kind-hearted Bizarra tries to save them. Diva won't hear of it, however, and tells her Banshees that they shall dine tonight. Spacepunk and Trinculus dash on for the semi-operatic finaletto. As Spacepunk and Diva and the Banshees have a standoff, Bizarra informs her mother she's chosen her future husband. She points to Spacepunk, who she's instantly fallen for.
Oh, he's so dreamy.
He refuses out of love for Eleanor, and Bizarra runs off crying. Diva tells Spacepunk that she'll drain the blood from his precious Starmites if he doesn't marry her daughter, and faced with no other options, Spacepunk agrees to marry Bizarra. Eleanor randomly wanders on during the melee and hears Punk vow to marry Bizarra. Everyone leaves to prepare for the impending wedding ceremony, leaving Eleanor alone. She cries, "No, I trusted you!" Suddenly, Chakra's voice gives a menacing "Milady" and a signature villain laugh as the lights fade to black.
This is so dramatic.
Intermission! And you know what you do at intermission, right? That's right, Innerspacelings, you subscribe to this channel and like this video now. Do it now, you won't be sorry. I've got videos coming. Well, can't talk about it now. Act 2's about to start. Let's get back into it. Chakra's voice sets up the first scene of Act 2.
Starmites, Volume 17, Issue 1297. The Wedding of Bizarra.
Earth girl of somewhat lowly birth girl.
All the pomp and circumstance comes to an end when Spacepunk stops the wedding. He can't go through with it. He loves another. Bizarra runs off wailing, and Diva demands to know who it is that Spacepunk loves. Spacepunk and the mites sing one of my favorite show tunes, "Milady."
I don't know why I feel so shy, but when she passes by, I get kinda high and heave a great sigh, as if I could die or touch the sky. I think that I love Milady. Call me macho, a hot to tracho, rude, unruly, but I know I'm not so bad, 'cause she's my lady, someday she's gonna be my girl. She's his lady, and someday she will be his girl.
Diva vows to punish Spacepunk and his love, and gives them all the Frabala treatment again. She tells her Banshees to take them all to the setting of our next scene, the Chamber of Psycho-Sorcery.
It sounds like such a magical place.
There we find Eleanor shackled downstage. She feels defeated and has a conversation with her Milady self. She uses her Milady powers to break the chains and free herself as Diva and the Banshees enter. To Eleanor's delight, Diva reveals that Mr. Punk, as she calls him, won't marry Bizarra because he's in love with her. Her delight is short-lived, however, when Diva explains her plan.
I shall now reveal to you my master plan. Kind of sounded like a chimp there at the end.
She is going to put Eleanor and her daughter Bizarra into the chambers of Psycho-Sorcery, which will make Bizarra look just like Eleanor. Then they'll trick Spacepunk into marrying Bizarra, thinking it's his love. Eleanor tries to go all Milady, but Diva uses the cruelty on her. Diva puts Eleanor into one of the chambers and then recaps the whole prophecy again, making a joke about how it's a hard plot to follow.
You said it, not me.
Bizarra enters, clearly having been crying. Her mother promises her that once she goes into the chamber, she will be beautiful and loved by the man she desires. Bizarra says she's not beautiful. Diva tries to convince her daughter that she is beautiful. On the inside. She sings Beauty Within.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Never was a girl as
got beauty within, beauty within, beauty within your heart and soul.
During the song, Bizarra goes into the chamber, comes out looking like Eleanor, and they finish the song saying, "Now she's beautiful on the outside too."
Bit of a mixed message.
Back in the Great Hall, all the Starmites are still frozen from the Frabala. Diva and her banshees enter to put their plan into action. Diva alabarfs the Starmites and undoes their shackles. She tells them it's time to put aside their differences and work together to defeat Shakra. She then calls for Bizarra, posing as Eleanor, and tells Space Punk they can marry. Space Punk is ecstatic, but does remark that Eleanor's eyes have a sadness to them. Bizarra starts to falter and Diva says she's not quite ready yet. Space Punk then gives her a passionate kiss. Bizarra gives one of these. And Diva says she's ready. Diva wants to start the wedding ceremony again and says that she needs music. Trinculus offers to play the Cruelty. Space Punk vouches for him and Diva asks if he knows how to play the Cruelty Stomp, which of course he does. And she agrees. She gives him this hugely important cosmic weapon that's also an instrument, and they're just like, yeah, totally, take that.
That can't be good.
They all perform the Cruelty Stomp.
There's a crazy little ditty that's been bopping around. It'll really hypnotize you with its magical sound. It'll make you do all kinds of things you never did do. So dance to the music of the cruelty. Ooh, the cruelty. The cruelty. The cruelty. The cruelty. The cruelty. The cruelty. Doing that cruelty stomp.
During the song, each person one by one becomes controlled by the Cruelty. Trinculus has them all dance up a fury before slamming them all to the floor. It's revealed that Trinculus has been Shakra in disguise the whole time.
The whole time you were, the whole time.
Shakra grabs Milady, who of course is really Bizarra. Space Punk tries to save her, but Shakra captures him too. Diva pleads with him to take her instead. She tries to explain that it's not who he thinks it is, but it's too late. Shakra uses the power of the Cruelty before making his escape with Bizarra and Space Punk, and there is an earth-shattering boom as the whole set is blown to pieces. Diva is devastated, and the real Eleanor enters, feeling guilty for just standing there while Shakra took Bizarra in her place.
There she stood in the doorway.
Both Eleanor and Diva are berating themselves. Meanwhile, the mites try to convince Eleanor to become Milady once again and save the day. But Eleanor says they don't understand. She's not Milady. She's just a kid from Earth. The mites and eventually the whole company try to get her to embrace her true self and tell her to reach right down.
Are you ready? Are you ready to keep on going? Going. You gotta reach. 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 You gotta reach right down to the bottom of the soul. You gotta reach a little more. Right down to the
By the end of that number, Eleanor has indeed reached down to her soul and dashes off to rescue Punk and Bizarra. The next scene is at Shakra's sacrificial slab, which is a different sacrificial slab than Diva's sacrificial slab. This one has a pit.
How fancy.
Space Punk pleads with Trinculus/Shakra to spare Milady's life, but Shakra says as much as he'd love to see Space Punk writhe in molten rasp of the dark powers, they will only accept Milady. Side note again, who's they? Who's they? But anyway, this gives Bizarra an idea. She asks him what would happen if he gave them the wrong person, and he replies that his control over Earth would be destroyed. She then makes the brave decision and tells Shakra she's ready to be sacrificed. Space Punk, still not knowing that this isn't really his love, tries one last-ditch effort to save her, but Shakra zaps him with the Cruelty. Then the prophesized eclipse of the obsidian moon begins. With Shakra distracted, Bizarra walks to the edge of the pit. Bizarra reveals her true identity and says that she's doing this for the good of the universe and her love of space punk. Horrified, both Chakra and Space Punk try to stop her, but they're too late and she jumps into the pit. Chakra's powers start to fade. He and Space Punk both reach for the cruelty.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both reach for.
But Chakra gets to it first. He demands to know where Milady is, but Punk refuses and Chakra blasts him with the cruelty. Eleanor, now fully accepting her Milady self, enters ready to fight. Space Punk tells her to save herself and Chakra blasts him again. Chakra tells her that Space Punk is dying and she is powerless to help. But Milady says she is not powerless. Chakra blasts both Eleanor and Space Punk with all the might of the cruelty. In the number Immolation, Eleanor fights back against Chakra and the cruelty and heals Space Punk using the power of love.
How to fight the cruelty? What weapon can I use? Everything I had is gone, there's nothing left to lose. No one else can help me now, perhaps it's meant to be. A blazing force is shining somewhere deep inside of me. Can't you see my love is stronger than anything?
Chakra, in agony from all the love, tries to escape and falls into the pit himself.
That's the power of love.
Eleanor and the Starmites cheer as Diva and her banshees enter. They have come together to celebrate Eleanor's victory as well as Bizarra's sacrifice. Suddenly, one of the banshees, Shotzi, convulses and goes into a trance. The Oracle Oragala speaks through her, and she reveals the shocking truth that knowing Chakra will be hunting for the Banshee Princess, she switched the princess with an Earth Girl, meaning Eleanor is Diva's true daughter.
No way.
Diva hails Eleanor as the true queen of Innerspace, saying her days of Diva-dom are over. Oragala also reveals that the pit is actually a portal between the worlds, and Bizarra is safe on Earth, back with her true family.
Oh, that's nice.
But Eleanor must remain in Innerspace forever, which, as she looks lovingly at Space Punk, she's happy to do. Everyone cheers, but Oragala has one last little shocker for everyone. She says that with the Banshees proving themselves good and pure, they are all once again, as in olden times, Starmites.
This way.
Yes, they were all once Starmites and are so once more. They all sing a Starmite / Hard to Be Diva mashup reprise.
Do you have a recording of this music?
No.
An epilogue finds us on Earth where Bizarra, who still has the appearance of Eleanor, is sitting in Eleanor's bedroom. Her, now we know, true birth mother enters, worried having heard all the ruckus of Bizarra's entrance. Bizarra is admiring the bedroom, saying it's just like she dreamed about. Her mother is concerned and gives her a comic book to try to help calm her down. They read the title of the book together, Starmites, Volume 17, Issue 1299, The Reign of Diva and Her True Daughter.
Oh, that's nice.
Suddenly, Bizarra remembers the danger everyone was in Innerspace and tells her mother she has to go back. But Oragala's voice comes to her and tells her everything is alright and she is where she belongs. Mother and daughter sing It Wasn't a Dream.
They tell me every dream must end, and even though you say it was pretend, and though I'm never going back again, it never was, it never was, it never was a dream.
With newfound love and respect, mother and daughter embrace. But from behind the bed, Chakra slowly pops out with a menacing grin as the lights fade to black. The end. Ta-da! What did you guys think of Starmites? I know it's super campy and there are a couple of silly plot holes and confusing bits, but honestly, that's what early comic books were like too.
I don't care about which spirit ladies do what to which Cajuns. I'm here to stop a wedding.
But I think there is such a fun, sweet little story in there, and with some modern tweaking to the superhero elements, and plus that absolutely killer score, I think it could be a big hit today.
I could see that.
Critics at the time did not see any nuggets of a great show in there. Most compared to the show to the only sci-fi properties they knew at the time, Star Trek, which I think this show is nothing like, and Star Wars, which has a whole different feel to it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Also, as most pointed out, even the people involved in Starmites pointed out, that it probably should have been an off-Broadway show. The technology of the day, as well as the budget, simply didn't allow for amazing special effects or pyrotechnics, so all the flash boom bangs done with minimal magic felt sort of amateurish, especially in a Broadway world being wowed with falling chandeliers and barricades, instead of charming like it might have felt in a smaller setting.
Charming, charming.
The show ended up closing on June 18th, 1989 after only 60 performances. With a critical drubbing and a Broadway run faster than a speeding bullet, it would normally mean a total shutout come award season. But as I mentioned earlier, 1989 was a notoriously weak year for Broadway, and Starmites ended up racking up 6 Tony Award nominations, including Best Choreography, Best Direction, Best Actress for Sharon McKnight, who played Diva, Best Actor nods for Gabriel Barr and Brian Lane Green, who played Trinculus and Space Punk respectively, and Best Musical, though it didn't win any. And while there is a cast recording, as you've heard throughout this breakdown, it wasn't made until 10 years later in 1999. It features most of the original Broadway cast with the exceptions of Sharon McKnight's Diva, replaced by Banshee and Diva understudy Gwen Stewart, and Brian Lane Green's Space Punk, replaced with Robert Zoli. I did promise to share some pictures from my high school production of Starmites, so here you go. While I was indeed one of the Starmites, we did the stereotypical high school theater thing and expanded the amount of Starmites. So I was the made-up Starmite, Puff Buff Fisticup. Apologies to Barry Keating on that one.
Look at that hair, purple.
And that, my friends, is my deep dive into Innerspace with the musical Starmites. I hope you all enjoyed this video and learned a little something. Tell me your thoughts on the show in the comments. I'd love to know what you guys think. And if you've been in a production of Starmites, show me your photos. No two Starmites productions look the same, and I'd love to see them.
Show me.
Barry Keating was so kind to me to meet over the phone and share some insights as well as some of these photos from different Starmites productions from around the world. So a huge thank you to Barry Keating for taking the time.
We're not worthy!
As always, sharing this video helps me and this channel grow so much. You really have no idea. And also, giving it a like and subscribing is always appreciated and really helps with that YouTube algorithm. Hit me up on Twitter at bwayghostlight and let me know what show you'd like to see broken down next. I'm always there having a good time and waiting to hear from you guys. Until next time, this is Broadway by Ghostlight. I'm Mark Benani. I'll see y'all next time.